What is it like when you first show up?
First show up, you get in, you bring in, they give you more testing. You get more evals. They're kind of honing it down. If initially it was a big broad brush type of, a coarse screen, now they're getting you in the smaller. They're going to dial things in where they can get a better handle on what you are like as a person, what you think they're going to be like as a Delta Force soldier, Delta Force operator, and they're going to dial you in. Then you do a PT test again. You do another PT test. Day one, once the things get going, do a PT test, standard Army PT test, push up, sit up, 2-mile run. Then you do a swim test, 100 meters, fatigues and boots, which you can't bluff your way through that. You better know how to swim or you're not going to make it. And I knew that. So I trained up over and over and over. And it got to the point where I timed myself. I swam an hour in fatigues and boots because I learned how to do it, not fight the fatigues and boots, just go with the flow. You know what I'm talking about. And so did the swim test. And then that night, 18-mile rucksack march. So one day, day one, PT test, swim test, 18-mile rucksack march.
Holy shit.
And if you don't make the cut on any of them, you're gone. I take that back. They will give you a retest on the PT test. Memory serves me correct, no retest on the swim test and no retest on the 18-miler. But they will the very next day, they'll give you a retest on the PT test. And you can imagine I knew one guy that passed that, was able to pass it the next day that didn't pass it the day prior, which you kind of go, how is that? But he did. He passed it the second day, but he didn't pass it the day prior. The average guy, it's going to be impossible after you've done it the first day, failed, done the swim test, passed, and did the 18-miler and passed.
Yeah.
You try to make up the PT test the next day, it ain't going to happen.
Is the 18-miler, is that a land navigation thing too?
No, just the rucksack march on roads.
Okay.
Through hilly terrain. Very hilly terrain.
How are you treated?
Totally, no encouragement, no discouragement at all through the whole course. And they did that on purpose to try to get you. Then once again, they put it all back on you. They don't want it like, hey, man, good job. You know what I mean? Or, hey, dude, you got to pick up the pace. None of that kind of stuff. It was, you could walk in. I used to tell people, you could walk in with a broken leg and they'd go color and number. And you'd have to have a color. And, they'd give you, at the beginning of the day, they'd give you a color and number. So you'd have to remember, Chartreuse 43. Chartreuse 43, show me where you're at and where you came from. Because it's all land nav based through serious hilly terrain. It's like a buddy of mine said, there aren't mountains there, but there's some damn big hills. And that's the truth. Camp Dawson is surrounded by damn big hills. So you're doing land navigation and it's like, show me where you're at, show me where you came from. And you show them, I'm here, came from here. And you got to show them the right thing on the map. You can't, if the guy got it wrong, you go over there, reassess where you came from. And you got I came from here, Sergeant. I'm right there. Okay. Your next point's underneath that rock, and you'd have a little, laminated piece of, they have something laminated. You flip it over, and you write down where you're at. You plot it on the map, and you go up. You say, "Come on up, Chartreuse 43. Come on up. Show me where you're at, where you're going. I'm here. I'm going here. Have a good one." And that cycle repeated over and over and over again through, and you don't know how long. You don't know how much time you got to get from point A to point B, and you don't know how many points you're going that day.
So each point is timed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not the full course.
No, each point.
The full course is essentially timed, but you don't really know where exactly you're going.
No. You might have 4 points one day. You might have 6 points the next day.
How long does this last?
6 days. And then on the 7th day, you do the 40-miler. This is stress phase. Okay. We talked about the PT test, swim test, 18 miler. Now, after that, you get into basically, for lack of a better term, the training phase. They're going to teach you how to do land navigation. And the reason they did that used to be back in the day, you just went right into stress phase. But they found out this isn't fair because there's guys who would probably make it that don't know how to do, they've never had land navigation training. So they would put you through 10 days to 2 weeks-ish, more or less 10 days of the best land navigation training in the U.S. Army. It has to be the best land navigation in the U.S. military, or probably in the world. I mean, magnificent land navigation training. You had cadre living, cadre led, land navigation. It was just magnificent. Really, really good. Map reading, dead reckoning, you go around hills, mountains, all that it was just really, really good training. It was superb. But it was also kind of grinding you down. So everybody kind of got to a certain level. You have a stud or whatever. He's not going to be 100% going into stress because you're going through the same hills, rocky terrain, twisting your ankle, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of taking even the studs and grinding them down a bit. So when they get ready to do stress phase, they're not on their A game. If they're lucky, they're on their B- game.